There are two rules in public speaking in Habitat for Humanity. One is never speak after the homeowners, and the second is never speak before lunch. So I have the unique distinction of violating both those rules today. I am no stranger to this area. I spent 30 years in Salem, Massachusetts, just down the street, and so I have seen the rise and fall and the difficulties of Lawrence, Massachusetts, and the United States. Those builders out there know the builder's prayer. Please, God, just give me 1 year where I break even because I need the money. All over the United States right now, with the exception of really two areas. We've just been to Memphis, Flint, Dallas, Omaha, Raleigh, and this is our last stop on the Magical Mystery Tour. And we've seen the same thing everywhere in the builders list. Builders saying, you know, it's one of the toughest years I've ever had. Not quite sure I'm going to be in business next year, but we're going to give it heck. And all of that notwithstanding, I could get my guys, my subs, my suppliers, the national underwriters of Builders Blitz, which you have heard about with great gratitude, all to show up and build a house for somebody else. And the universal feeling on the part of the builders, volunteers, and everybody else is that we get back more than we put in. The standard way of building in Habitat for Humanity is to use building professionals who typically work for Habitat to do the stuff that professionals have to do, wiring, plumbing, foundation, and so on, and volunteers. These are not efficient ways to build a house, which you heard a little bit about earlier from Steve. And so the idea of the Builders Blitz was Tom Gibson, who came up with this idea. He's a builder in Raleigh. Said, let's let builders show their stuff, show what they can do in 5 days. All pros, all working together. Some of them competitors, and sometimes allies, but they come together in the Builders Blitz to see what they can do. So this year is not a great year for building, as you may have noticed. But 200 houses are being built all across the United States today. In some places they're building 10, 16 houses, like Jacksonville, Florida. In some places they're building one house, like Flint, Michigan. And let me tell you, you think Lawrence is bad? Try Flint, Michigan, where there are about 900 houses just waiting to be demolished. And so what you find when you travel around is that there is kind of a grid. We're going to get it done. We're going to make it happen. We're going to live in the solution. Not be part of the solution, we're going to live in the solution. We're not living in the problem, we're just going to live in the solution. There's plenty of problems, we'll deal with those. So what I've found since I've started to work with Habitat, and I've been following Habitat since my early years on this old house in the early 90s, and then I did a 5-part series on Habitat for DIY. We did a bunch of stuff with Habitat, with Renovation Nation. And one thing, so I worked with President Carter and really sort of got to know Habitat over almost 20 years. And we were doing a shoot in New Orleans right after the Hurricane Katrina. And one of the officials in New Orleans said, you know, if it wasn't for the faith-based organizations, Habitat, Catholic Charities, and a number of others, nothing would be happening. And that really sort of sparked the thought that, you know, there's something going on here. This is a way to actually move the needle on the dial of world housing. So on a national level, Habitat, as a result of this Builders Blitz alone, has built 1,000 new homes. So it's a capacity adding mechanism. It's a way to add to the sort of base load capacity of Habitat for Humanity and simply build more homes. This is one area in which the solution lies in building more. And the more homes you can build, the more people you can enfranchise, the more kids, more stable homes that you can put people into. Then kids go to school, they're not moving from rental house to rental house, right? How many houses have you guys moved from house to house? Probably a lot. Yeah, so your kids can now go to school. They can have a place to work and do their schoolwork. They can excel in school. The idea is that it's not about us anymore. It's about the next generation and the generation after that. So there's really 3 things that are required for the Builders Blitz. One is builders. Builders like to build houses. They don't have the common sense generally to do something else. So that's why they're still building houses, even in the worst economic times that we've seen as builders. I know it's right. So, but rarely, and builders have told me this all over the country, rarely do we get a chance. Homeowners don't come up and hug us. They don't say, wow, we really love what you're doing. And they don't come up and give us breakfast, and they don't bring us coffee. They're like, when are you going to get out of my life? And your bill's too high. And see you later. So the payback to the builders is huge. And they all say, we get more than we put into it. So you need that. Then you need the suppliers. And it's amazing how many people step up in so many just kind of random ways. From huge gifts, like from Masco Corporation, Townhouses, so on, to tiny gifts. Just when you need some guy with an excavator to haul away a whole bunch of concrete from this side, the guy for nothing. So there's all of that, and that's usually happens all over the world. And then you need the vision thing, because that's part of living in the solution and not living in the problem. One of my first assignments for Habitat was to go to Africa, and during that trip, we built 35 homes for people who had been refugees. Totally changed their life. Another part of that trip was to go to the largest slum in Africa, which is in Nairobi. And you look at that, and you realize that 1.6 billion people in a world of 7 billion live in slums. And I'm talking garbage running down the streets, sewage, pigs, and so on. Really disgusting. And you say, you know, we can't run the world this way. It's just not going to work. You scale it up to 10 billion people, which is coming, and you got 2 or 3 billion people living in these kind of conditions. It's not going to work. So we got to do something about it. Something has to change. So Habitat has the global reach. It's got the volunteer base. It's got the build methodology. It's got the capacity to elicit funds to move the needle on the dial. It doesn't happen in one broad sweep. It happens just like you see here. It happens one house at a time. Habitat was founded as a theology, as a Christian-based organization, but it's really, somebody called it, Jimmy Carter called it the theology of the hammer. And it's all about one hammer driving one nail, building one house. I'm really proud to be a part of this. I'm proud to be among the builders and the volunteers, but this is a professional build, who built the house. And to all the owners, all I can say to you is, vaya con Dios. Thank you.